You say that Peter Mandelson has put the Prime Minister in a bad position. The Prime Minister put Peter Mandelson in a good position. He gave him a plum job in Westminster. Why do you think that the Prime Minister is the victim in all this? This has been done of his making because for some reason, unbeknownst to the rest of us, you decide that no one else can do this job but Peter Mandelson. What was wrong with Karen Pierce? Karen Pierce had been a career diplomat. She was very highly respected among Republicans. She had worked for the Foreign Office for years, and as far as her record suggests, she wasn't twice sacked from plum roles at the heart of the British establishment. Why couldn't she have continued in the role? What is it that's so special about Peter Mandelson that means that you're all blinkered to his, quotes, unique talents?
Look, I don't think he's the only person who could have done it. I agree that Karen Pierce was doing a good job, but the view was taken, and I understand the reasons for the view, that with this particular administration and the position coming up for renewal, there were advantages to having a political appointment and one with a background in business and trade. Now, that has turned out, of course, to be the wrong decision, but I think it's important. You talk about GB News viewers. I want to speak to those viewers and say it's important that they understand the rationale for such an appointment. That was the rationale for it, and what has come out in the last couple of weeks has, of course, rendered that appointment a huge mistake. We know that now, but that was the rationale for it at the time. There's no point in pretending otherwise.
No, they think that the rationale for it was because the Prime Minister was having to keep the Blairite wing on side, and that actually this man who stands on the steps of Downing Street and talks about providing a government of service actually appointed Mandelson in a very self-serving manner. You've worked with Mandelson repeatedly. You campaigned with him to install Tony Blair. You were deputy for him when he was business secretary. What did you know about any affiliations with Jeffrey Epstein at that point, Pat McFadden, back in 2008 when he was appointed by Gordon Brown?
Nothing at all. I'd never heard of Jeffrey Epstein. I hadn't heard of Jeffrey Epstein for years afterwards. You know, I'm as shocked as anyone to see that at the time that I was in the Department of Business with Peter Mandelson, and we were going through the financial crisis, banks collapsing, business collapsing, a really difficult and stressful time for the country, that this was all, or a lot of the government side of this, was being live downloaded to somebody in the United States who I'd never heard of at the time or for many years afterwards. I don't think this was an appointment about keeping a wing of the Labour Party happy. I honestly think that's a misreading of it. You can say it was the wrong appointment, and that's fine, but the correct reading of the appointment is what I'm saying about political experience, trade experience, business experience with this particular kind of US administration. Now, you may disagree with that, but it is, I believe, what the reason was for the appointment.
OK, so Karen Pierce warned against the appointment. David Lammy has now come forward to say he warned against it. You're very, very familiar with Peter Mandelson. Did you warn against this appointment?
I wasn't involved in the discussions about the appointment. It's a matter between the Prime Minister and the Foreign Office for this appointment, so I wasn't part of the selection committee.